Wednesday's ESG week session is about to begin. I'd like to introduce your host. Morse code wouldn't be the same without him. The Orange Dot.
Thank you, and welcome to day 3 of ESG week. You heard me right, ESG week. Every single lunchtime this week at 12 PM, we're going live and helping you understand what ESG solutions are available for your ESG reporting and ESG data. Let's start things off today with a quiz. What does the S in ESG stand for? What does the S in ESG stand for? Start the clock. The answer is social! With that in mind, before we start our feature with Ian, we'd like to go into a bit more detail about the social aspect of ESG. Donna from Differentia Consulting interviewed Alfanar, who talked all about how Qlik helped with their digital transformation for social change. So let's learn a bit more about how Qlik can help us with the S in ESG. Put your hands together please for Donna and Mohammed.
Welcome everyone, I'm Donna Hopkins, Head of Customer Care at Differentia Consulting, and today I'll be talking with Mohammed Alradi from Alfanar about their journey to digital transformation. Mohammed, thanks so much for joining us today. Why don't we get started with a little bit about Alfanar?
Hi Donna, it's great to be speaking with you today. Alfanar is the first venture philanthropy organization to operate in the Arab world. We provide management support, tailored funding, and technical assistance to help social enterprises that support the most vulnerable communities in the region access quality education and employment opportunities. We have operated since 2004 and to date have supported 35 social enterprises in 3 countries, impact the lives of over 100,000 individuals for the better.
It must be so rewarding to work for such a worthwhile cause with so many interesting people. Does Alfanar have an overarching mission?
Yeah, Alfanar is trying to empower social enterprises to affect social change. We see social enterprises as a vehicle to development in the Arab region.
You're helping to drive so much change, but it hasn't always been like this, has it? Tell us a bit about your time before Qlik.
Alfanar's Qlik journey, or should I say journey to Qlik, began with Word documents. We would receive Word documents with lists of indicators such as number of children in school, number of women employed, and that would be the reporting that we receive. The problem with this style of reporting is that the data in it cannot be validated and it's impossible to disaggregate. An example being, if I saw a report and wanted to inquire about what percentage of those employed women live in a specific community or fall within a specific age range. If those points are outside of the template, I would have to call the social enterprise and request that data. It was very slow, and it was clear that this reporting system was not really conducive to analysis.
What did you do to overcome those challenges? And did you move straight from Word to Qlik, or was there an interim solution?
Following the problem with Word documents, we shifted to databases, specifically on Excel. Now, this gave us the ability to disaggregate data. We had more data than we've ever been used to. The problem then became time. The not-for-profit sector suffers from a scarcity of resources, that's both in capital and human resources. We're all juggling a million things, and no one has the time to deep dive into expansive data sets. Perhaps a company working in the private sector could have a team of analysts that dig into data, churn out reports for management. Unfortunately for Alfanar and our social enterprise partners, this just was not possible. And this unfortunate reality adversely affected our ability to make informed decisions. So we were very lucky to find Qlik. Qlik is an amazing tool that revolutionized the way we conduct monitoring and evaluations and helped us overcome this scarcity of resources, which would have otherwise made the shift to a data-driven culture impossible.
It's really fascinating to have this first-hand insight into the sector, and what you're doing with data is really pioneering. Can you share with us how long this journey has taken?
So it's been 3 years, and it was slow at start, but with your support and the Qlik community, we've been able to create tailored apps for all 17 social enterprises that we currently support.
When you talk about apps, what does that mean for these social enterprises? Do the enterprises like them, and how are you measuring their success?
For me, the biggest success indicator of rolling out Qlik has been the adoption of a data-driven culture. I mean, as we discussed before, our old reporting system was not mutually beneficial. We couldn't get much out of it, and it was either too little or too cumbersome. Now, with Qlik, this has been the first time in the history of Alfanar that our social enterprise partners are voluntarily reporting more frequently and asking to integrate more data. I mean, for me, this has been the real game changer.
Changing cultures and behaviours is an amazing accomplishment, especially from a distance. What does that mean in practice for the businesses you support?
Yeah, so for the Future Eve Foundation, this project started with 200 widows and 3 villages in Upper Egypt. When you're dealing with small numbers, it's easier to manage data and make informed decisions. But fast forward 8 years later, we are now in over 60 villages in 3 governorates in Egypt, impacting over 14,000 widows. When you get to that number, the ability to interact with a dashboard that shows you what training is working in what village, what are the income increases according to the training a widow has received, or her attributes, living conditions, etc. This is where Qlik becomes an extremely powerful tool. And when we're making a business plan to expand the Future Eve Foundation and scale it for the coming years, we can look at that data and say that, you know what, this training doesn't seem to work with this category, but it does work with this category. So if we're working with a limited amount of resources, we can apply it in the best way possible to help as many people as possible.
So in this sense, you're using Qlik to help social enterprises spend their money more intelligently. How would this have been possible otherwise?
Without Qlik, they wouldn't have the time to kind of look at all the data to see that, well, 20% of our funding should be allocated to this and 20% should be allocated to this. And this is how best to scale our enterprises. And this is what's selling and this is what's not selling.
That's fantastic. So it seems that Qlik is having quite a significant social impact in that region. What are the other types of businesses that benefit from this?
We're working with another organization called Tabshura in Lebanon. Now, this organization provides online learning modules to students throughout the Arab world. As you can imagine, since the outbreak of COVID, the demand for their services has risen exponentially. And for many children, they're the only form of education they receive. So they've become an extremely important service. And, I believe at the end of 2019, they only had less than 1,000 users. Now they have 30,000 plus, and it's growing exponentially.
What's the link between data and this, frankly, phenomenal growth in student numbers? How are they able to grow so quickly?
With Qlik, they can look at all their modules and see the engagement rate per student, per month, per geography. and they can better adjust their modules and teaching style and curriculum to meet the requirements of students that would otherwise just be at home and not have much to do.
And does that level of data insight give them a degree of agility that they maybe never had before?
Well, Qlik allows organizations to respond in a time-efficient manner to changing circumstances. They can look at how interventions, the outcomes of interventions immediately, and change their curriculum, change their methods accordingly to maximize social impact.
What does that mean now in terms of the way people now think and the habits they've developed because of the capability that Qlik has given them?
When a social enterprise comes and voluntarily asks to integrate more data, that shows that they really do see data as a valuable asset to their organization. Another thing that I've noticed that really highlights the shift to a data-driven culture is that decisions are no longer, and data are no longer being retrieved by, how should I say, people in data silos. Historically, each organization would have one person that deals with data, and occasionally that person, he or she, would provide the data to management. Nowadays, I see everyone from the data teams, upper management, middle management, everyone in the social enterprises interact with Qlik on their own, generate insights on their own. So in short, there has been this sort of democratization of data within the social enterprises, and people are no longer hesitating to refer to their respective apps to generate insights and to see what's going on, what's changing. How can we respond more efficiently this month, this week, this day?
Well, that's a huge change. And I can imagine organisations like Tabshura are adapting really quickly because they already have a digital nature. But how are you supporting other organisations who have maybe a more traditional operating offline model?
There's one organization in Lebanon we support called Fabricate, and they collect secondhand clothing, process it, repackage it, and sell it in vulnerable communities for very modest prices. They're operating a large distribution and logistics network, and they have to supply shops constantly. Everyone on the team uses Qlik, and when they see that a shop is close to running out of clothes, they can respond immediately, and they use Qlik for that.
It's really fascinating to hear how all of these social enterprises are using Qlik and the benefits that they're seeing from it. But if we bring the story back to you, tell us a little bit about your experiences as a Qlik user.
As a user, what I like about Qlik is that it's extremely intuitive. I don't have a IT or software engineering program, and I was able to learn how to use Qlik because it's intuitive and also because it has an amazing support community. I use Qlik community on a daily basis. I think that's the most important thing to me. And it's also something that's been repeated by our social enterprise partners. They were shocked to see that they could link their data from Facebook to Dropbox to Google Drive to loan Excel sheets into a single app. I mean, for us, this is like magic.
It's wonderful to hear you talking about Qlik technology as being magic. How important is the partner relationship in a journey like this?
So Differential Consulting has been there for Alfanar every step of the way. You gave us our initial training, and you were there for every technical query I had. I believe I must have contacted you a million times over these last 3 years, and every session was extremely helpful. But even past the technical queries that your team was able to help us with, you've introduced us to the Qlik community, including like-minded not-for-profits that are also embarking on their own Qlik journeys. And also, we've also talked and brainstormed about how Qlik can be used more effectively to improve the performance of our social enterprises.
Yes, Qlik really does have a thriving Qlik community, and we're so glad that you're part of it. How do you find the dedicated training materials on the site? Have you used those too?
I find it extremely helpful. So Alfanar has been lucky enough to have two great sources of knowledge. We've had differential consulting to help us every step of the way. And we've also had this incredibly active and supportive community. I've posted countless requests on the site. And, when I first started using it, I didn't really expect people to answer, but people respond within the hour. It's amazing. Not to mention the Qlik Continuous Classroom has been a great help to me as well.
And we know that Qlik users are very passionate and very generous when it comes to sharing their knowledge. So I'm really glad to hear that you've experienced that. So tell me, Mohammed, what's next for Alfanar?
The first thing that we hope to do is to continue to maintain and improve the apps of our existing social enterprises, and of course, create new apps for new social enterprises that we support. Past that, we've already started to integrate it into our HR and operations, and we want to integrate it everywhere else. We want every facet of our organization, from accounting to fundraising, and the same thing for our partners, to be integrated into Qlik, so that Alfanar and the social enterprises we support can operate more efficiently and put more of our time to the things that matter, which is helping people on the ground achieve more prosperity and a better life.
Well, you've certainly got an exciting roadmap ahead of you. If we were to look back for a moment, what would you say were some of your highlights of the journey so far?
I think for me, the most memorable moments have been when I would deliver a complete app to a social enterprise that have never seen something like Qlik before. Just seeing that spark, everything changes. Our social enterprises have changed the lives of over 100,000 people. The number of women employed has increased from 1,781 to 4,466. The number of children with access to quality education has increased from 2,417 to 28,122. And on average, social enterprises in Alfanar's portfolio grow their impact by 39% a year, and their non-donation revenue by 37% a year. The bottom line is, with Qlik, social enterprises can change the lives of more people.
Those highlights are incredible, and the change that Alfanar has been able to drive has helped so many people. How does that make you feel?
I feel like the luckiest man in the world. I love my job. I love working with Qlik. I love using data to support social enterprises that are working in a very difficult environment.
Thank you so much, Mohammed, for sharing your Qlik journey with us. The team at Differential are really proud to have you on board and to continue supporting you and supporting the social enterprises in everything that you do. And I'm sure that our viewers will join us in wishing Alfanar the very best for the future.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Isn't it incredible what digital transformations are possible with Qlik? Now we're up to date with how Qlik can help us with the social parts of ESG, I wonder, how can it help us with the other things? Particularly if we're using it with Infinity. I think we need to turn to today's ES genius, Ian, to learn a bit more. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Ian!
Hello, and thank you for joining my session today. Over the next 10 minutes, I'm going to give you an overview of an ESG solution built using Qlik Sense and Infinity Forms. We're going to start with a bit of background information about the challenge, then talk about the solution, and we'll finish up with the benefits. So let's talk about the challenge. This was a global aerospace company operating in 12 countries and more than 50 locations worldwide. They had a diverse set of more than 130 ESG metrics. This gave about 5,500 data points that needed to be collated on a quarterly basis. This process involved more than 40 people from disparate geographies, functions and time zones, and the information was all manually entered into a single shared spreadsheet. This was all up against quite a tough deadline set by their parent organisation of 15 working days for the collation, review, approval and submission. Quite a challenge. Let's now talk about the solution. The solution was built using Qlik and Inphinity Forms. Qlik, a market-leading data analytics tool, together with Inphinity Forms, which is a really clever Qlik extension object that allows data input inside your Qlik applications. A suite of ESG applications was developed. There was Qlik scripting for the extraction and transformation of data from 6 different existing source systems. A master data management and process controls app allowed the sustainability team to manage the static data, open and close the processing windows, manage the org structure, and update allocation matrices used for financial metrics. A data entry app was developed with an Inphinity form for all the metrics that could not be automated. There was a review and approval app that allowed all stakeholders then to monitor progress, review the entries, perform their validation, and also there were some integrity checks and balances. This app also helped the approval forms. Following approval, further Qlik scripting was used to generate an output in upload format for the parent organisation. Then the data from this submission and all the historic submissions was put together in a Qlik analysis app that would allow trending, drill down, tracking of progress against targets, and ultimately would be used by the executive committee. Governed and secure access was provided by the Qlik security functionality, and also there was further controls implemented in Inphinity form security about who could have read and write access to the different forms in the different apps. This allowed segregation of duties, full audit trail. Okay, now let's talk about the benefits. 65% of the ESG metrics were integrated automatically from the source systems. This saved considerable time and effort. That's about 3,500 of the 5,500 data points. Not only was effort saved, but there was improved accuracy, integrity, and timeliness of data. Really, this streamlined the data preparation and increased the time for review and analysis, as well as streamlining the submission. The analysis app really gave increased visibility of the ESG performance to the exec committee and progress against their core 6 metrics, 2025 targets for emissions, electricity, waste, water, climate-related R&D, and product decarbonisation. Building the solution using Qlik and Inphinity forms really helped enforce the process controls, governance, and provide full audit trail. Also, with the constantly evolving set of ESG metrics, building this on an agile solution that can be updated and maintained easily was really important. Speaking to the users involved in this process, one of the key benefits that they mentioned as a result of the new solution was reduced stress. I hope you've enjoyed this presentation, and I hope to have a follow-up session soon where I can demo the solution. Thank you.
A big round of applause for Ian! Now we all feel a bit more informed about how Qlik and Inphinity can help us with our ESG data and reporting. If you're intrigued by the Inphinity aspect of today's presentation, make sure you come back for Friday's session with Martin Kostick from Inphinity, who will be giving a super deep dive in how Inphinity can help you with your ESG data and reporting. Just a reminder that ESG Week is running every single day this week at 12 PM on your favourite social media site. Tomorrow's session will feature Matt from Cyphered, as well as some presentations from Dropbox on how they can help you cut down on your use of paper. If you have any ESG questions, just head over to www.differentia.consulting or send me an email to marketing@differentia.consulting. I'm the Dot. I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow. In the meantime, take it ESGzy. Bye for now.